Hey everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and I'm going to talk about Daredevil, Guardian Devil. It's a very dark cover, you probably can't get a good view of it. Yeah. This was the first story arc written for the second Daredevil volume that was published under the Marvel Knights imprint, I believe. It was written by well-known film director, writer Kevin Smith, who created Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Mallrats, etc. And also he had a supporting role in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. It wasn't a big role, it was just he was the coroner that was talking to Ben Urich in the movie. Anyways, so pretty much Marvel pretty much let Kevin Smith write the first story arc for the last Daredevil volume. What happens is basically Matt Murdock. It opens up with Matt Murdock in a confessional because apparently he's been severely depressed since for about 6 months, ever since his girlfriend Karen Page left him. So Matt's pretty much very depressed. The only thing he has to fall back on right now is just his faith in the Catholic Church, and even then he has to leave his confessional. He kind of leaves mid-confession to go deal with some crime as Daredevil, and then later in the day when he's at his office, a teenage girl visits him and leaves her baby with him, claiming that the baby is apparently the second coming of Christ. And then later, when Daredevil's trying to figure out where this kid came from, a guy shows up to Matt Murdock's office again and tells him that he's wrong about the baby. The baby's probably Antichrist, and who's ever around it will have bad stuff happening to it. So Daredevil's pretty much after that, Daredevil is starting to believe the guy that the kid could be the Antichrist. He thinks that, maybe this kid is terrible. Then suddenly he hears that Foggy Nelson, his best friend, has been arrested for attempted murder, and so at that point Daredevil's like really furious. He's starting to lash out at everyone, and apparently he starts to really believe that this kid could be the cause of everything wrong. And then Karen Page shows up again back in his life, and she tells him that the reason she left was she found out she was HIV positive, and so that was like a really big thing for her. And also Matt goes to see Doctor Strange. Then Matt goes to see Doctor Strange to really know for sure whether or not this what people are saying about the kid is true. Doctor Strange finds out that Matt has been infected by a drug that doesn't give off any taste or scent, which is how it infected Matt. And also they discover that the child is neither Christ nor the Antichrist. And they find this out by talking to Mephisto, who also tells them that, guess what? While you're here, the kid's about to get kidnapped by Bullseye. So Matt goes to investigate. So Matt heads over to the church where he left the kid and finds Bullseye there. And also Karen shows up because the mysterious man who saw Matt earlier came and spoke with Karen to tell her that basically the kid's bad, and she's probably the reason why the kid's probably the reason why you've had so much trouble in your life. And so Karen starts to believe the same thing Matt did, and she goes to the church too. And while she's there, unfortunately, Karen Page is killed by Bullseye, just as Bullseye gets away with the baby. And so after that, Daredevil's just very depressed. He almost kills himself, but fortunately he's able to get over it after talking to some of his friends, and then finally go after the guy who's really responsible, who's ever pulling the strings, the one who told him that the kid's bad in the first place. And Daredevil finds out that this entire plot was just orchestrated by Mysterio as his final act, because apparently Mysterio is dying from lung cancer and an inoperable brain tumor. So, and instead of going out, Mysterio first thought of the scheme when Ben Reilly was Spider-Man. So Mysterio didn't want to fight a clone Spider-Man. He instead decided to fight Daredevil, who he only fought once, believing that a second-rate villain should go up against a second-rate hero. Just something. And then right when the reason Mysterio explains to Daredevil that the reason he did all this is because he was trying to push Daredevil to a point of no return, so that he would pretty much kill him and he wouldn't have to die from sickness. He could die in battle rather than sickness. And at that point, Daredevil's just like, no, I'm not doing it. And he just like verbally abuses Mysterio, telling him that his entire plan was stupid. It's just like a ripoff of what the Kingpin did to him a few years ago in Daredevil Born Again. And also tells him that basically Mysterio is just a second-rate loser who's nothing more than a movie geek, and pretty much gets ready to leave. And right before Mysterio leaves, he says, "Oh yeah, there's one more thing I stole from Kraven," and Mysterio shoots himself in the head, and that's how it ends. And last issue though in this collection is Karen Page's funeral, and afterwards Spider-Man talks to Daredevil about all this, and he tells him about Gwen Stacy, and also reminds Daredevil that probably the only good thing that came out of this is that baby that Matt saved. So Matt pretty much makes sure the baby goes to a good home, and afterwards after Foggy is acquitted, they both decide to go and use the money that Karen left Matt to reopen their own practice, and that pretty much helped set up the second volume for Daredevil. Okay, the story was very nice. Okay, I will say that. It did feel a lot like I was reading Born Again because we have this villain who's trying to push Daredevil to the point of no return, just to drive him insane or get him to end his own life or something like that. Born Again is one of my favorite stories, and this does take a lot from it, but it doesn't take a lot from it that you're just like, oh wait, this is just the same story being retold. It's unique in its own way, and like that story, it does put a lot of emphasis on Matt and Karen's relationship, and obviously you can tell that Karen Page is definitely one of the loves of Matt Murdock's life. He loves her a lot, and unfortunately though, when her death happens, it hits him really hard, like so hard he doesn't want to live anymore. And that's what some of the scenes that are in the story, the ones between Matt and Karen, are just really nice and beautiful. And right afterwards, when Karen dies, and you see some flashbacks Matt has with her, you think, oh man, they were great together. It sucks that she's dead. So I think that. So yeah, Guardian Devil was definitely, I would say, a changing point for Daredevil, because they killed Matt's longtime girlfriend Karen Page, and also it did sort of give Matt and Foggy a back to basics approach, where in the end they decided, okay, let's just set up our own firm again. So kind of returned that back to normal. So I would say overall, Daredevil, if you like this character, if you love Born Again, if you like Kevin Smith's movies, you should definitely give this story a shot. It's actually pretty great. Overall, I would say, Daredevil, Guardian Devil is definitely a buy, in my opinion. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I'm Spider-Man 91 saying, see you later.